The Football Pod on OTB Sports in partnership with AIB, proud sponsors of the GAA Senior Football Championship. Check out #TheToughest for more.
And you're all very welcome along to yet another episode of the Football Pod. It's episode 26. James O'Donoghue and Paddy Andrews, are you both still friends after your experience in Croke Park yesterday?
Just about. No, it was very amicable. I think that's great game, but I think the better team did win. And there was no cynical play or nothing sour about the whole game. In fairness, just played in great spirit. And all the dubs were very amicable and very praising of Kerry, which was nice as well. I think deserved.
Yeah, look, I was there on Saturday as well, and to be fair, Saturday's game probably didn't. It was one for the purists, but the atmosphere around Drumcondra and the atmosphere in the stadium was class from the Derry and Galway fans. But in Croke Park yesterday was, for anyone who had the fortune of being there, whether you're a dub or you're from Kerry, it was an incredible day. Like the build up to it, the atmosphere around town, the weather helped, and just the anticipation of the game. You felt it was the two best teams in the country. Bit of a setback for the Dubs, obviously, before throwing. The kind of worst fears were confirmed with Conor McCluskey wasn't playing, but that didn't detract from what was an incredible occasion. And what a finale. There's been some classics. Myself and Jimmy have been fortunate to be involved in a few over the last decade against each other. I don't think quality-wise maybe it was at that level, but in terms of just drama and intensity and edge of your seat stuff, I mean, the entire stadium was rocking at different times. It was a roller coaster of a game, but look, I agree with James. You have to hold your hand up and say over the course of the entire game, Dublin had chances to win it, but I think the better team prevailed on the day, despite some very ropey patches down the finish. But James is right. You're very privileged ourselves to have played in this fixture in this game, and Dublin and Kerry is a special occasion, and not just, I think, in Irish sport. And you could see that again yesterday. Whoever came out on top, there's just total respect. And I think the players all understand that this is bigger than any one team or any player. There's some legends in history that's gone before, and that's just the latest chapter in it, and they'll be back again. There's no doubt about it. But it was Kerry's day yesterday, and it was deserved, to be fair.
No, it's actually mad. This sounds ridiculous, but I actually didn't realise almost how big Kerry Dublin was when you're playing. Do you know, like when you're playing, you're so sheltered from.
You're trying to stay away from it, yeah.
Stay away from all the build-up. You don't read the paper. You don't talk to anyone. It's like stay out of my ear, just because we used to say any sort of talk before the game just softens your mind. So it was like, just don't talk about it. And people knew that. And then when you're part of all the build-up, it's like, this thing is absolutely massive. You know, it's incredible.
So
like, and the noise changed yesterday when all the Dubs got in, and it went from kind of calm. And then before you knew it, the place was electric. Like the noise inside there was insane. It was just classic. I think Kerry only brought, not only, but say if there was 72 or 3 there, I think was there. Yeah. There's probably 50,000 Dubs.
I agree. Yeah.
22,000 Kerry. And in fairness to the Kerry crowd, they made their voices heard. I thought they were brilliant yesterday. Like when Shawnee rattled that free over, the cheer was like, it was like Dublin scored. You know, it was a nice low cheer. It was just savage. It's great to be part of.
The cacophony of noises, though, while Sean O'Shea was taking that free was just absolutely magic. There's the booing and the jeering and the anticipation. And then as he strikes it, there's this lull when you watch it back. There's that intake of breath where everyone's wondering, because he puts the bloody ball 14 yards beyond the post.
The second he hits it, I knew we were under pressure. Like, I was hoping. I wasn't saying anything.
I heard through the grapevine that Paddy Andrews was happy enough that Sean O'Shea had put the ball in the deck.
He did. He goes, leave him kick that.
100%. I admit that. I was thinking, not in the conditions, the time of the game, he's nearly 60 metres out. And I'm just thinking that he's not kicking that. But there's the little bit you're going, he might. But the second, I was hoping literally he duffs it and it gets like 10 yards off the ground. And that's it. But the second he strikes it and you see it take off, I was like, oh, shit. And then you're just waiting on, you judge by the hill, because we weren't behind it. You're kind of seeing it side on. So you don't know for certain, but you're looking at the hill, because if it's going wide, the hill is going electric and there's not a peep out of them. And you just know he's absolutely black spot that, like, and that was it. It was like, I think it was 6 minutes or 5 minutes was added, and he took it in the 76th. You knew that was it. That was there wasn't going to be another play. Like 12 years earlier, it was the same end, and it was our side, and it started off an incredible decade for our side and for our supporters and everyone involved in Dublin GAA. And you just get the sense that kick yesterday could have, the symmetry is incredible. Like, you do sense that could be the straw that broke the camel's back, and the dam has burst. They still have to beat Galway, which we'll touch on tonight and on Thursday at the live show, more importantly. But it was just a seismic game for Kerry in the development of that team. And that moment, look, we'll see that kick for 50 years.
If they get the job done.
I think even if they didn't, that was just an incredible moment.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah. But
like,
I was silent for about 3 minutes after that.
I can only imagine.
Jimmy nearly fell over the roof of the stand. He was jumping.
I did nearly
around.
go over at one stage.
Jesus.
Well, it was the first time of the whole day I actually felt warm. Inside in that Hogan stand, the cold up there was absolutely...
Tier 7. Yeah, it's another climate up there.
Well, Kerry lads. Like, Kerry have taken over the media. It's incredible. Like, turn around and Donaghy's there beside you 1 minute, then Fitzmaurice is there behind you in the queue. Like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Donaghy's commentary with Donaghy's commentary with Dave Mack. Was it Mike Finnerty yesterday? It was ridiculous.
No, Dave Mack was on.
Dave Mack yesterday.
But you know what, Tommy? We say you want probably close games to go to extra time, maybe penalties for unbelievable drama. But, like, it was unbelievable to settle it after 70 with that big a moment. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, if the ref hadn't given the free or whatever, and it petered out to a draw, and someone won by 2 or 3 points, maybe in extra time, it would still be a great game. But it got the finish it deserved as well with that unbelievable point. Like, that score is iconic now. It's great for Shawnee. Great for Shawnee.
4 hours later, it's already iconic. Yeah. You can see the reaction across the board. It's just an incredible bit of skill. And, like, if you're going to lose a game, to lose it in that way, like, you've lost to an absolutely phenomenal bit of skill. Yeah. And you just got to hold your hands up. It was sensational.
You mentioned symmetry, Paddy, and sliding doors is a word that I would have thought of as well in relation to that free from Cluxon in 2011. James, in the 68th minute, I don't know who I said it out loud. I said, Dublin have this. They're done. They have it. Kerry are done. I just said it like...
Yeah. I'd say a lot of people were saying it.
I didn't think Kerry would shoot themselves in the foot, but there was just that feeling all game long that even in the build-up you had it, that Kerry just haven't proven it yet. And
that was the question, yeah.
They got over the line. What were you like then in that? Like,
in the build-up to the game,
he was quiet at that. I'm telling you now, he was quiet.
I was so
why
cold.
Does it ghost?
Well, in the build-up to the game, I was saying Kerry can't fall over the line here. If Kerry are going to beat this Dublin team, they have to go the 6-7 points ahead and keep them at arm's length, keep tipping away the points and actually sprint over the line. Because if you fall over the line, the Dubs will reel you in. The pressure that was on that field with the crowd and everything, and the score just being slowly clawed back, it's incredible pressure. And what Kerry did as well, which was poor by Kerry, they actually lost their shape completely. Now, Dublin played wide open and Kerry just left 2 or 3 forwards up in attack, and everyone else was too deep. So whenever they were trying to get the ball out, it was kind of too clustered, and they made bad decisions up front then for a little spell, and suddenly it's level. But, like, when Costello got that goal, and he had absolutely no right to go for that goal, and I can't speak highly enough of Costello for that, because he was playing poorly, to be fair, from his standards. He wasn't playing great. He got the ball. He could have easily chipped the point and gone, right, I'm in the game here, I'll get another one. But he went for it. And he put it on the deck in off the post, an absolutely unbelievable finish. Then it was really game on.
Can I make a point about that Costello goal? And I don't know if this has ever coached you, but Podge Collins mentioned it to me a couple of weeks ago. It was coached some under 21, say, hurling training with Clare. Use the defender as a shield when you're taking a shot on goal. If the defender steps into the keeper's eye line, bam. And it's like Costello spotted that split second. Use the defender as a shield and into the corner past Shane Ryan. There was nothing to aim at.
No,
there was something to aim at. That's the thing. Like, he didn't, even though he's quite far out, he doesn't blast that. He actually hits it with his inset, but he just whips it into the corner. And there was an avenue to aim at. That's why You can lose your composure there. You can snatch at it. You can try and put your laces through. Watch the way he strikes the ball. He actually strikes it with the instep of his foot. He's placed that ball at pace into the corner, and we were right behind it. You know, when you're up at the top of the Hogan stand, it was right in the eye line of it, and it was Dublin needed it. Jesus Christ, they needed it, and that was kind of the spark that brought it back in. But the thing that was different, even though Dublin got back into the game, they're probably on top coming down the stretch. There was still a sense they were struggling for scores. Yeah, they were struggling for scores in the entire game.
That conviction the Costello showed wasn't there for a lot of that game.
No, and that's you think of Dublin in the past where they blitz a team, and they actually did it this year in the Leinster final against Gallagher. Within 5 minutes, they've scored 4 goals. And that's what you always associate with Dublin, that when the crowd get involved and the place was rocking and they're pushing up on kickouts, they can reel off 1-3 or 1-4 or 2-3 in the space of 5 minutes and take the game away from you in that period. They never did that. They never did that yesterday, because you've got to be honest, the firepower isn't there. That's the reality of it. And I probably came home to roost yesterday, particularly without Conor O'Callaghan. You look at the full forward line for Dublin, like Costello's goal is the only score they get. Dean kicks a couple of frees, but Dean doesn't have a shot from play outside of that. Costello has a couple of wides. Lorcan O'Dell, Paddy Small, to be fair, comes on and kicks a point, and he gives some sort of impetus there. But
it's Kilkenny really who grabs the bull by the horns.
It is, but Kilkenny's kept very, very quiet in the first half, and even for him he gets 3 points in the second half with incredible leadership, and like the overriding emotion for me leaving the stadium yesterday, kind of driving home on my own afterwards, was like very proud of the team, because they were up against it and Kerry were the better team, and Dublin still went all the way to the wire with them. But for Kilkenny's 3 scores, he has to work so hard to get them. Like, it was just, there was never a sense that even though Dublin probably had the momentum behind them, they weren't going to reel off 4 or 5 points in the spin. Like, so it was always, despite the opening quarter, I thought it was quite open, and we were like, me and Jimmy were looking at each other going, this is incredible stuff.
Yeah.
But then it dies a lot. Like, it's quite low scoring.
When the black card kicks in, it's like the game completely dies. And I know there's a level of that, right, where Dublin managed that black card incredibly with the game's management there.
Dublin only scored a point in the second quarter.
That was it.
And they are,
Kerry looked like
they're hanging on. They are hanging on. If Sean O'Shea scores that penalty and Kerry goes 7 clear, I honestly think, like, Dublin were hanging on as it was, 5 points down at half time. If it goes to 7, like, they got a little boost out of it. John Small comes back on and they save the penalties. There's a little bit of a row. That kind of gives Dublin a little bit of energy.
Lifts them, yeah.
But if that goes in and Kerry goes 7 up, it could have been messy. It was honestly going that way, because Dublin were really, really struggling for it.
But Dublin will be kicking themselves, because if you think back to the first half, right, kicking into the hill, Fenton had a very bad wide, unlike him. Kilkenny had a very bad wide, unlike him. Costello, same. And they had one other poor one, I forget what it was. But like,
Howard had a bad one outside the boot.
Dublin had 8 wides yesterday.
They had, they were coming in against Kildare, 90% conversion. And next thing, they hit this kind of slump in front of the goal in the first half.
58 yesterday.
But it's different pressure, Jim.
Really, yeah. It would have really, but those shots weren't under that much pressure. That would have really dented Kerry's momentum if those sailed over.
I couldn't, Paddy, and it was the same in the second half. David Clifford looked bemused once or twice when the shots he took went wide.
Winner, lads. If you haven't played in Croke Park, you definitely can't see it.
You could see it where I was sitting in the Hogan. It was like the lads.
Clifford was a miss in the first half, and he has 2 wides in the second half. Killian Spillane has 1 as well.
Well, what is it? Describe that wind. Like, it's like it's moving, is it?
It's the only open part of the stadium, so the wind comes in there. Like, we were in the stand at the top of the Hogan stand, there's a wind coming in there. It was, despite the heat, it was a very windy day, and if there's any sort of breeze, it's going Hill 16. And I said this on air with Joe yesterday, like, it's funny hearing a Dublin player say this, but I didn't really enjoy shooting into Hill 16. Really? The canal end is where, if there's any wind, it's going down into the canal end. So it's an easier goal to shoot into. It's shelter. Whereas both teams struggled with it yesterday. Like, Kerry couldn't really miss in the first half. I think Gainey has their only wide with his left foot, and probably kind of forced it because he was on the periphery of the game. Whereas in the second half, there was 2 or 3 in a row, particularly after the goal. Clifford has a brilliant flick up off Fitzsimons. You're thinking everything he touched was turning to goal. And that just trails wide, and the crowd get another roar. But it's hard to, if you haven't played there, and you definitely don't get the sense of the TV, but it is tricky when there's any sort of breeze shooting into Hill 16. You can see it again. That's what makes Sean O'Shea score. all the more impressive. Like it's incredible.
It was described in the Indo today as the greatest free of all time.
Ooh, maybe, yeah. It's very soon. It's obviously recency bias there.
Yeah, it's hard to properly dissect that. Like
free, like
Reid O'Neill's equaliser. Like, did we say a couple of weeks ago there was more pressure on that because it was an equaliser? Personally, I think it's not like a normal. It wasn't a shot to nothing for Sean O'Shea. I actually think his team had crumbled around him for 10 minutes. The Dubs were at them. They were at the throats.
It's funny. I actually thought Dublin needed to win at normal time.
Did you?
Until Kenny gets Dean Rock taps over the score, and this is the disappointing thing. And I don't know if many people spoke about it yet, but without a doubt, Dublin are going to focus on this when they review this game. Paddy Small gets a brilliant mark, and it's 73 on the clock.
Mm-hmm.
And it's turned out, I don't know who says something to the ref, and it's brought in, and Dean Rock taps it over. But
very quickly.
That's a set play from a dead ball. Dublin push up on the kick out, and they've time to get set. It's not like it's a helter-skelter and they've scored from play and everyone's all over the place. It's a free. So they've pushed up, and I'm thinking, like, win this kick out. Win this kick. Shane Ryan is under pressure, and Dublin, they get it off. And this happens
Begley wins it. Begley
so hard for that.
Yeah, this happens 2 or 3 times
so hard for him
in that last quarter, and I'm thinking a massive thing, and Dublin have focused on this for years. When the shit hits the fan and you're pushing up on a kick out, at that stage of a game, your man just cannot get the ball. Whatever you have to do, your man doesn't get it.
It didn't feel like the 17 kick out against Mayo.
Costello kind of loses a man. I think Scully loses one on the play before that as well. And it's just a pressure release for the opposition. If you're all over the man and you get a turnover there, I mean, the fans will nearly score the point for you. It's that much momentum. And that's
the one he went long before.
And Kerry get the score out of it.
Yeah,
I thought that was the chance.
The one he went long before was the one that James McCarthy broke back.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, oh my God, James McCarthy. I was like, the whole stadium was like lifted.
It's
so
incredible.
If Shane Ryan had to go long again, and one of the big boys from Dublin won it like a Fenton, Kilkenny or McCarthy.
Catch from Fenton or something.
Unbelievable. So to let Kerry off with a short kick out was criminal, like, but it was unbelievable for Brian Begley to show the bravery to make those 5 or 6 runs when you're tired. And I think the last ball he got, it kind of bounced very low. You have to make a nice.
We're going to get it. We're going to get a hand on it.
Yeah. So, in fairness, all credit to Brian there, but yeah, criminal by Dublin to let the short kick out go off.
But lads, I remember from my own playing days, like the focus we put on that, like the energy we got, and we knew just the stadium would react to it. We'd react to it. If we win a kick out, particularly at that stage of the game, it's like, this is on. Killed them here. Like that was the mentality. And you could see if you look back at any of our games, if we win that kick out, win a steal, it's like everyone is just sprinting forward. And that's Dublin would have focused on that, I know for a fact. And such a big play. But the big thing from a free kick where you've time to get everyone up the pitch and get into position, and they get it off, and you just think, oh, I thought that was their best chance to win it. I actually wouldn't have fancied Dublin in extra time.
But like looking at that kick out, because it did strike me that Rock took it very quickly, and when he took it that fast, I was like, okay, Dubs are going to kill them here. And Comerford is way out of his goal. He's covering space
on the halfway line. Yeah.
Comerford's doing his job, but it's nearly like for the first time in however many years, it just didn't click with everyone at the same time to do it.
If one lad loses it, that's it.
Yeah,
that's what happens.
Okay. Yeah. So we have got a very big week ahead of us. We have got a road show on Thursday night. So we're going to be doing a quickfire podcast this week. So we're going to be going quickfire through some of the incidents in Dublin-Kerry in a couple of minutes. We are going to be chatting about Westmeath's Tailteann Cup victory. They bet Cavan at the weekend. Paddy was there, and he was also there for Galway's win against Derry in the All-Ireland Senior semi-final. Just to note as well that New York, a colleague of ours, Paul Murphy on the football pod, picked up an All-Ireland junior medal, full back for the Kilkenny team that bet New York at the weekend, 3-12 to 1-9. So Murphy got that medal at the weekend. So we are going to be talking about those couple of games in a couple of minutes. We have a couple of questions from the football pod listeners, and I'm delighted to announce that we are sold out for our road show on Thursday night. Myself, Paddy and James are going to be in Kilmacud Croke's clubhouse. We're all
God, we sold out before Dublin lost. Jesus.
Before Dublin lost, and before we even announced our special guest.
Yeah.
Boys, Michael Meehan is joining us on Thursday night.
Oh.
James, famously, you had Michael Meehan in your five-a-side team at the start of the year.
I did. And in fairness, I was bang on. You were surprised that I picked him.
I was pleasantly surprised.
He was.
You mean you are now completely downgraded to useless corner forwards compared to this fella when he comes on Thursday night?
That's all right. That's
one of the greats. One of the greats, and it's going to be brilliant to get. Galway haven't been in a final. Is it 22 years since Galway have been in a final?
21.
2001. 21 years since they've been in a final. Michael Behan was an absolute superstar. He missed out on that era. Unfortunately, obviously, had an awful run with injuries and stuff like that as well. But it'd be good to get insight from him on what it's like in Galway now, because there's phenomenal momentum behind them. They'll fancy their chances against Kerry as well, to be fair to them, and just hear about his own. What an incredible, absolutely incredible player. Jesus Christ.
You know,
so I'm looking forward to asking him. Do you know, like when Joyce went into that job, it was, I'm going to play all out attacking football. And somewhere along the line, he said, do you know what? This isn't quite working. Yeah. So
reality bites.
I'm surprised that he would have done that.
Do you know what else Pádraig Joyce said in his first week in the Galway job, in a local interview in Galway Bay? I think it was in Galway Bay.
Win the All-Ireland.
He was asked what success was, and he said, I'm going to win the All-Ireland.
Yeah.
Success in your first season, to win the All-Ireland. And like
that's what a county like Galway, I think it's realistic. Okay, at the time they were probably a bit further back in the pack, but if he's there for 3 years, like Galway have unbelievable tradition, and we know they've got good players. Like, so I don't think that's as outlandish a statement as it's made out to be. It's like they are a massive county with massive tradition, and they've got good players. Yeah. So
it's sensational. We're going to be building up to that, the semi-final. We're going to be analysing the game tonight. We're going to be building up to the semi-final at the Roadshow on Thursday night. It is sold out. We will be putting the podcast up for anyone who can't make it on the night. The podcast will probably go up a little bit later in the weekend. It's All Ireland Hurling weekend, but you can still get your football dose. And then we'll be back next week with another podcast next Monday or Tuesday. So it'll be up Monday night, Tuesday morning. So, loads to come on the football pod. Lads, I was a little bit jealous that I wasn't in between you yesterday, I'll be honest. But I did get into the Hogan, James, and like you mentioned it, that you didn't realize what it was like atmosphere-wise, the build-up. It was absolutely ridiculous yesterday. And Paddy, like, I don't know if you're going to agree with me here, a lot of it goes down to the Dublin fans. A lot of it goes to the Dublin fans, because the atmosphere, the carnival nature of it, the flares in the hill, there's nothing like it. Like, it's just, I don't know what it is like, but just that yesterday was one of the greatest sporting.
What I thought yesterday was that there was obviously, we're coming off the back of COVID. There hasn't been a sellout in Croke Park for a number of years. The last massive sellout was the 2019 final. It was Dublin and Kerry again. That replay. So there was a will. Everyone wants to see Dublin and Kerry. Even though last year both teams lost their semi-final, I think they're the two best teams. So there was not just even Dublin and Kerry fans. I think the neutrals wanted to see this game because they understand the size of the game and the occasion as well. So I was chatting to a couple of ex-teammates of mine as well who were all heading into the game over the weekend, and it was like genuine excitement, like a fan going in, really for the first time since retiring. Because James is right, when we played, we would have actually been quite big on embracing the kind of history of Dublin GAA and the 70s team. Jim would have been very big on that and what it meant to represent Dublin and things like that. So not in the build-up, maybe not like the week before we play Kerry in an All-Ireland semi-final, final. We're not going there. That's kind of too emotive, but definitely at different stages of the season, we will be very aware and very conscious of what we were representing. And look, the 70s team, and the 70s team is Dublin-Kerry. That's what makes that legacy so big. So we're always aware of that, and he understood that, and like I said, the privilege of being able to play in it. But yesterday, you could just see it. It was probably the first time in a long time Kerry were coming up expecting to win the game. And if Dublin fans were being honest, that was kind of in the back of Dublin fans' heads as well. It was kind of like,
it was like they sensed it.
We need to get behind the team because we've had an amazing decade, but we're up against it today.
Yeah. And
it was a sense of, we're all in this together. We need to try and get over the line together. And that's, Dublin fans they're incredible. We've had some very special days, and being able to kind of represent them and things like that has been, like I say, very proud to be able to do that. But you got the sense yesterday, it was like, we're up against it. Let's just give everything. Players, supporters, everyone involved. And it was very, very nearly enough. But Kerry had that energy as well, because even from talking to Kerry people around the stadium and like say Jimmy and a couple of ex-players, Kerry lads, there was an expectation that this was it. We've been down the doldrums. They've had our number for a long time. Today is the day to put it right. And that was just a mix of both supporters coming in with that. And you're right, the energy in there.
It was savage being in the middle of it, because even like the penalty miss and the way the Dublin fans celebrated it, and it was
I have no voice. Are you allowed celebrating the press box?
James, no, I don't know, but Dad, just coming to that, right? I wanted to pick you up on like 2 or 3 things at the very start, and I'm not going to go back to them now. I thought you were, for anyone watching the pod, James is very humble at the start of the podcast here. James is wearing his Kerry top at the minute.
He was wearing a full kit.
He's wearing his full Kerry top. Let's see it.
He had a pair of boots on him yesterday.
There it is, but
you weren't wearing your Kerry top in the press box, were you?
No, I wasn't.
But
I didn't know the etiquette.
Ashling caught the video of Sean O'Shea's free and spun to you celebrating with poor Paddy's face looking on. And it's just one.
I didn't move for about a minute after it.
But you don't know with a game like that, it could go either way. It could go like that ball, the Paul Murphy kick to Clifford last play, could have been spilled and could have gone down the other side of the field and could have been over the bar in a second.
Davy Byrne was so unlucky there.
Was it Davy Byrne up Clifford's arse? Like
I thought it was a clear foul. Watching the replay, he was very unlucky.
It was unlucky, but you know what I was thinking? And myself and Paddy spoke about this after. Like the ref was comfortable giving that free because of the distance it was from the goals. He's not thinking, Kerry here have Sean O'Shea who's going to have a go at this. He's thinking, I'll leave this attack play out for a little bit and possibly blow it up.
I guarantee you, if that is in the D, he would not have given that free.
Yeah,
he knows he's deciding the game. He's deciding the game with it, and he thinks he's off the hook because it's so far out. I'm telling you, if that's in the D and the clock is in the red, we're in injury time, he would not have given that free. I'm telling you, no chance.
It was a soft free. But
he does have a hand in the back, but I think if he knocks the ball,
I agree with you, Tommy. In real time, I was going, that is a free.
Yeah, but he's unlucky though.
The psychology of a referee, they don't want to decide the game in the last. He knows there's no time left.
Yeah,
and if that's inside, they will give you leeway. They'll give you leeway.
But Clifford does very well because he gets his body in between Davy Byrne and the ball. And just like the Cooper 2019 incident, remember, he just gets his body in the way and makes Cooper foul him.
Yeah.
Like, it's unbelievably good forward play.
His strength is
so clever. Yeah, it's just excellent forward play. Shield the ball, win it if you can. If not, you'll get your free.
Yeah.
But just to go back onto the atmosphere and everything last day, like 70,000 people turned up to that game knowing that there was going to be a game of football played. Like, it was going to be kicking, it was going to be running, it was going to be scoring. It wasn't going to be 15 behind the ball on either side and kind of a snooze fest. Like, going into Kerry Dublin, they are going to go at it the way it should be going at. So like that kind of builds the intensity as well.
Both were defensive at times.
They were defensive, but when they're breaking, the ball is being kicked.
Yeah.
Like, both sides want to kick it. Paddy always says about Fenton. Fenton gets it. As soon as he turns, his eyes are up in the top of his head to look for someone like Conor Gallagher or Rock or Costello. Like, he wants to move the ball with the foot and he's willing to risk it. Same with Kerry, like, they were kicking the ball down the line. And if you're actually preparing for, say, a Kerry Dublin game, I think the best training you can actually do is play like 13 asides, because there's space everywhere. You have to kick the ball. You have to use your legs to run into the space, get off full of shoulders. That's the way it is in the game. It's not a really clustered match, Kerry Dublin. There's actually spaces to play. Yeah. Like, but you have to be brave kicking and running. Whereas in the games against maybe a Derry or a Donegal style game, there's a lot of hand passing. It's very intricate because there's no space at all. And it's a lot of quick hands. It's a completely different game. Yeah. And you have to prepare so differently. That's why Kerry need to be very careful against Galway. Obviously, Kerry are going to be favourites. If Kerry don't win this game, they will be incredibly disappointed because it's set up for them, to be fair. But this change in style is a big change.
Massive. And we're going to come to that a little later today and on Thursday night in the Football Pod. This is episode 26 of the Football Pod, of season 2 of the Football Pod, with Paddy Andrews and James Donoghue. It is brought to you with thanks to AIB, proud sponsors of the Senior Football Championship. Check out #TheToughest for more. Tailteann Cup Final result this weekend: Westmeath 2-14, Cavan 1-13. Paddy Andrews was there. Also there for Derry 1-6, Galway 2-8. And as we've mentioned already, Kilkenny won the junior final 3-12-19, and Kerry bet the Dubs in the All-Ireland semi-final for the first time since 2009, 1-13-112. with a last-minute Sean O'Shea free. What we're going to do, lads, is we're going to come back with some quick-fire questions on the Kerry-Dublin match, park that after 10 minutes, move on to Galway, Derry, and on to Westmeath, Cavan, before we park it there and we leave it for Thursday night. We are sold out Thursday night, but I managed to get my hands on 2 pairs of tickets that we're going to give away to some loyal Football Pod listeners over the next couple of days. So probably on Twitter or Instagram. So stay peeled to our social media pages at footballpod_GA, and I'll let you know how you can win them if you haven't got them already. We'll be back right after this. Very welcome back to episode 26 of the Football Pod with Paddy Andrews and James O'Donoghue. We are getting stuck in to the aftermath of Dublin-Kerry. A classic yesterday, won in the last minute by a sensational Sean O'Shea free. This game had absolutely everything. It had, I think, Paddy, you captured it really well earlier on. There was quality, like at the very start. It was like, oh my God, what's going on here?
Yeah,
first lull with the black card. Started the second half, very poor. The Dubs take over then. And Dublin looked like they're going to run away with it. And Kerry just about hold on. But when I looked down and I saw Paddy Clifford win a man of the match, I was like, really? I watched the match back last night, lads. He was so important in that last 25
I can see why he won it. I can. I know a few people raised eyebrows when we were chatting, obviously, and a lot of people after the game. And it was kind of, there's more obvious ones. Obviously, Sean O'Shea's finish. He was brilliant in the first half, but he was, like, being honest, he was very, very quiet in the second half. He kicks the 2 frees in injury time that win it. He wins the free beforehand off Lee Gannon. I think it's around the 71st or 72nd minute, kicks it over, and then he kicks the winner. Clifford was one of the most incredible displays in the first half. He was off the charts. McCarthy was just, if he's not already Dublin's greatest ever player, he's just another string in his bow yesterday for that. Kilkenny in the second half was exceptional. So there was more maybe obvious candidates, but a massive issue for Kerry in that second half. They lost all shape. Their shape was completely gone. And this is a big challenge that they need to address for the All-Ireland final against Galway. When it was structured in the first half, that suited Kerry. They had Clifford, Sean O'Shea inside, the Paddy Clifford kind of roaming around. Geeney was playing off them, and they Jack Barry, O'Connor, and Moran at midfield, and they could launch balls in. It was just very nearly like training ground stuff. The second half of it, and it wasn't anything. Dublin didn't get back into the game by any tactical revolution, or I wouldn't say Sean O'Shea or David Clifford were quieter in the second half because their men completely got the better of them. The ball just didn't go up. All their structure was gone because Dublin basically turned around and said, if we don't just go and attack from everywhere, this game is gone. So the structure in the game, it just turned to complete chaos. And it reminded me, I said it to James yesterday, it reminded of when we used to play Mayo. And we always felt that if this is controlled, we have better players than them, we'll win this game comfortably. But Mayo never let that happen. They just went from everywhere to cause anarchy because it suited them. And it just pulled. I remember so many times reviewing games against Mayo, and like our whole full forward line is gasping for air in our half back line because we just run 3 or 4 lengths of the pitch. And we're going, how does this keep happening to us? But you can't let the guys go. You can't let Higgins or Keegan or any of these guys go. And the same with Kerry yesterday. They couldn't turn around and say, oh, we'll just let John Small or James McCarthy or Lee Gannon go forward. So, and Galway are going to try and prey on that as well. Take Kerry out of that structure. So that's what happened in the second half. Dublin just threw caution to the wind. And that got them back into the game. The issue with Dublin was, as we touched on earlier, even though they had momentum, they don't have the firepower of previous years. And that's, like, we could be really, really simplistic with this, and we probably were last week, but it was general consensus across the board. If Con doesn't play, Dublin are a completely different team. And it's the same with Clifford. If Clifford doesn't play with Kerry, there's just an X factor there, a figurehead in their attack that's not there, and it just blunts everything else. And Dublin missed that. It was magnified times 100 yesterday. That even when they were on top, they could not get the ball inside. They could not get the ball inside. And that's a credit to Kerry's defensive structure. Jason Foley gets the better of Dean Rock. Thomas Fulham gets the better of Cormac Costello. So there wasn't an option in there. And I said it yesterday. Kilkenny gets the ball. Fenton gets the ball. I know them. I've played with them for 10 years. the first thing they're looking to do is they're scanning out to in. What's the longest pass I can give here? That's not on. Okay, what's the next one? That's not on either. Now I've got to give a hand pass.
Yeah,
we do not want to do that hand pass. But if the structure's not there and there's not a guy, and that's why Paddy Small was so important, by not doing anything out of the ordinary, by just being an absolute live wire.
You're just moving, just
moving. And the mark he gets in the 74th minute. But that is what Dublin want to do all the time. Fenton looks and finally he goes, there, I've got it. 50-yard kick pass. And it's a mark. And Dublin just didn't have that really at any stage in the game. There's not many balls there.
Because I said it to you last week, will they put him in there more so in a left-footed sense? And you were like, that doesn't matter. Like, I don't think you were saying...
It's not a left-footed thing. It's impact off the bench.
Okay.
So if you play those 15 guys, is Small one of the best 6 forwards in that team? Yes, he is. Without Khan, he is. But you need something off the bench. We've said this. And Dublin were accused of that last year, and rightly so. That was an unbelievably hot day. You had to have guys coming in at 50, 55 minutes to give an extra kick. And that's why Scully and Small were kept in reserve. Like Lorcan O'Dell is a young player and he starts the game. And look, it's a very difficult game for someone at that level. He learned from that. And that's part of where Dublin are at the minute. But are you telling me like he's better than Knight Scully? He's not. But you need to keep these guys in reserve. And you've seen the impact Paddy Small made. And Dublin needed that. He comes on at 40 minutes. But that's where Kerry were starting to lose complete structure. They go out of the game. And that's...
Yeah.
There's not a lot they can do there. That's why Paddy Clifford was so important in that area, because Adrian Spillane comes on, Killian Spillane comes on. James was nearly having a stroke beside me. Adrian Spillane gave the ball away 3 or 4 times. And at a time in the game where it's like, you've just got to have a little bit of composure here, because there was space, because Dublin were just gone forward. And Clifford, we looked down and we're nearly laughing going, my God, we could nearly play ourselves inside in the full forward line. It was Clifford with Fitzsimons and the whole Dublin half. There was no one else there because everyone else had just gone. And you're thinking, if Kerry played this correctly, they could run away with this. But they were giving bad passes. They were turning the ball over. They started kicking bad wides and it nearly cost them. So
I suppose it's so rare, Paddy, that you actually see that set up in a match.
Totally.
You know, going down through the years, towards the end of a game, it would always be kind of wide open against anyone you played, because fellas would be getting tired, they'd be going forward, couldn't get back. But no, teams are so structured that rarely would it get like that. It's probably only Kerry and Dublin who do get dragged out of position because they will go for it like that.
Yeah.
You know?
But I think honestly, that's why I think Paddy Clifford was so crucial at that time.
Yeah. Okay.
He's the cool head. And he gets a hand pass to score that Kerry keep the ball for nearly 4 minutes. And it was like, I was smiling to myself. I was like, I know that play. we have done that play for 10 years. It's brilliant play, and it's so demoralising for the opposition.
Do you know the score he kicks off his left? He is one of the boys who turn over Kilkenny when Dublin were on the attack that time. There's 4 Kerry lads. There's Graham O'Sullivan, Begley, White, and Paddy Clifford. Paddy ends up at the end of that attack to put it over the bar. Lads, going to go quick fire through these, all right? So, James, coming to you on this one.
Are these all Kerry-based questions, probably, are they?
No, they're not. There's a good balance, but there's about 6 of them, and I want to get through them. So let's be quick with the answers, okay? David Moran's pass for that goal. Very similar to the arc of the ball that was sent into Kieran Donaghy, maybe a little bit further back, a little bit further out. Gainey, I think, gets touching it, leads to the goal. They pushed it. Are we going to see more of that against Galway, given what we saw Armagh do to Galway?
I don't think Kerry will force it like that against Galway. Against Dublin, the opportunities are there to put it in because it might be 2v2 or 3v3. The Gainey loves peeling off and fielding that or touching it down for someone. Against Galway, I'd imagine there's going to be a lot of bodies in there.
Yeah,
I don't think Kerry are going to force ball in. I do think it's a weakness by Galway, especially probably on top of the keeper. On top of Gleeson, he doesn't really want those balls coming on top of him. But I can't see Kerry forcing the long ball. I think they'll play it a bit cuter against Galway.
Okay. Did you, just one last one on that, did you see David Clifford freaking out just before half-time when he was 1-on-1 and the ball just didn't reach him? I don't know whether it was Paddy didn't give it to him.
No, it wasn't Paddy.
It wasn't Paddy.
I think, but you know what? It would have been a David Moran pass. And outside of the right to the Cusack and kind of coming back around. It was a goal chance.
It was on.
But unless you do that in training, Paddy says it with Jim Gavin, you fall back to the level of your training. Unless you're playing that open football, which let's face it, teams aren't playing in training because it's so rare. Then you don't actually look for that pass as often.
Yeah. Okay. Paddy, I want to come to James for the start of this one and then come to you on it. Comerford lying down after the penalty was given, right? So
Yeah.
referee blows the whistle. Come to James' search. Referee blows the whistle. Comerford has the ball in his hands. He doesn't hear it. He's tearing out with it. He gives a hand pass. He looks fine. You see the behind the goal camera. He lies down. I'm not going to dress this up with any bullshit. At club level, training, whatever, conversations I had. What are we going to do if they get momentum? We're going to lie down and hold our heads.
Yeah.
Happens in every club team around the country.
Okay.
James, were you frustrated looking at Comerford? 3 minutes for Sean O'Shea to take that penalty? Like, are you frustrated with Comerford? Are you frustrated with the referee? Or what is your take on that?
At the time, my concern was for Shawnee, because you're standing over a penalty. There's 72,000 people watching you, just staring at you. What are you going to do? And the time is ticking by. Every second is like 5 seconds. And as it goes on, you're getting more and more nervous. So I wasn't really thinking about Comerford. I was thinking about how Shawnee will be taking this penalty after such a long wait. Because with every second, it gets harder, trust me. But after kind of seeing it back, Comerford has this unbelievable game management. They've obviously talked about it.
He's so good at it.
Now, we can praise him and say he did the right thing for his team. 100% he did. He wasted 4 or 5 minutes. Small is on. 3 minutes. The penalty is saved. Small is on. It's twofold brilliant. He messes up with Shawnee's head and he gets Small back on. So in that case, it was brilliant. But there has to be, going forward, some sort of a stop on that clock if a fella's out with a black card.
The left, the only way around this, and we actually praised one of the, if you listen back a couple of weeks back when Tyrone lost to Armagh, the qualifiers, one of the only things they did well in that entire game was they managed the black card.
We praised Galway too. We praised Galway in a game as well.
That's like, what? Of course that happens. What do you expect them to do? You want to jump up and let Kerry have as much time with the ball when they're down to 14 men? Like honestly, like, piss off. Like, what are people?
No, but it should be taken out. It should be taken out.
The referee, the player, if he's sin-binned, is out for 10 minutes of play. Not when the clock is stopped.
Yes.
The sin bin is stopped. Simple.
That's the rule. That's the rule in women's football. That's the rule in women's football. And
it's so easy to remedy. Like, of course, teams, if you say 10 minutes of play, like the ball, even if there's no, gamesmanship or whatever you want to call it, the ball's probably only going to be in play for 4 or 5 minutes. So half the time is gone anyway. If you really want to punish a guy for giving a black card and be serious about defense, he's out for 10 minutes of game time, which might be, you can waste as much time as you want, but he might end up missing 25 minutes in the match. But until that happens, every single team is going to do that. You don't win the All-Ireland by being nice. Simple. So no problem. And I'd say this, if it was Shane Ryan down the other end, I'd be saying the exact same thing. Like, yeah.
Well, I don't think nobody's criticizing Comerford. If anything, people are saying Comerford was so clever there.
Yeah.
But it does expose a bit of a flaw.
Oh, totally. But we've been saying it all year, lads.
Exactly.
It's flawed, and GA will fix it, which is good in a way that it usually takes a couple of these things for them to go, oh, okay, we've got that one wrong again. Here's a way we'll fix it. But I think that there should be a sin bin clock. If you're off, you miss 10 minutes of game time, not 10 minutes of just normal.
I think it's actually been agreed to go through twice at Congress, and it's been blocked by some sort of weird delegation. So whatever's going on there.
Usual absolute bullshit.
There you go.
Does anything ever get through that Congress?
These are the same fellas giving out about it now. Like.
Yeah. Paddy, in real time, when Sean O'Shea pulls on the rebound, did you now you obviously had a very good angle above it.
I thought he should have went for it, yeah. 100%.
No, not that he should have went for it. Did you think that he might have been gone? Do you think he might have got sent off? No chance. Okay.
And I've seen people saying
there's a slow-mo version of the replay where his left leg catches him in the head.
Yeah, the ball is there. I was dreading it because Evan saves it and then it kind of hits his knee or something and it comes back out to Sean O'Shea and I was like, he's going to score the rebound. He's 100% entitled to go for that. One, without a shadow of a doubt, I don't think there's any foul play there. He's got to go for it. Evan is unbelievably brave to save it. He gets a bang in the head. I get that. I've had a bad bang in the head myself. I understand that.
Yeah.
In that instance, no, he's got to go for the ball.
Okay.
No issue with that.
Quick fire. James, can you describe David Clifford's performance yesterday?
First half.
Mercurial. Like, some of the points he got. My favourite point, without a doubt, was over in the Cusack stand where he gets it. He turns quickly, so he faces Lee Gannon up. He pretends to go left towards the goal and cuts back on the right and shows unbelievable strength to actually take a solo and a hop to cut back in again, like at a complete right angle, and then chip it over with his right leg.
Was that the one right before halftime?
Yeah, it was the last point he got in the first half. Oh my God. Everyone, they weren't even clapping. They were just kind of looking around, laughing at each other because it was just absolutely brilliant. That said, he has another gear again. He has another gear, and this Galway final is going to be set up for him. He's been building nicely. He was good against Mayo, but we knew there was a kick in him. He was excellent against Dublin. There's another kick in him. I hope that Kerry can get him enough ball against Galway to really see him get those unbelievable scores, because some of them are just reckless.
Paddy, James McCarthy, you mentioned earlier, if he hasn't cemented his status as the greatest Dublin player of all time,
he has, but
he's up there. You mentioned pride, watching the manner in which Dublin clawed that game back yesterday, and it came so close. And it really felt like that. Can you put into words what the hell McCarthy is to that team?
Look, I don't think it's just him. But yesterday he was kind of nearly the standout guy. I'd have massive time for what Mick Fitzsimons did in the second half as well. He's 34 years of age. 12 years ago, or 11 years ago, he was marking Gooch in the 2011 final. So he's been the absolute man for over a decade, taking out the top guy and marking the cliff when he's in that form under space, and you're 34 is not easy. But he gets some unbelievable turnovers in the second half. When he's up against it, Clifford scores 4 or 5 points, and you're thinking, but just the mentality of him. Kilkenny as well, who's been well marshalled in the first half. Morley's all over him. Kerry have obviously targeted him, as you'd expect. He's an absolute key player for Dublin. And that was my big thing. Like, Dublin, this is not the best ever Dublin team. That's just the reality of it. And you've seen that over the last kind of 18 months. But nearly just, and like I said, without a massive tactical change, that game is gone from Dublin. Like, they're being totally wiped at halftime. They're thinking, you're fearing for it. And these guys just come out. Like, James McCarthy has 8 All-Ireland medals. Fitzsimons has 8 All-Ireland medals. They were playing in that second half like they're going for their first. It was like, I was shaking looking at the guys. And I'm fortunate enough to play with them for years and to be friends of mine. But they're still, that makes it even more. Just so proud of the guys. Like, and that's why it was heartbreaking. Like, honestly, I was as gutted after that match as, like, we didn't lose many big games and we're fortunate, but like 2014 would be one of the biggest defeats I was ever part of. I'd say it was nearly as good as yesterday for those lads, just looking at Macker and Fitzy and those boys there.
Was it worse than last year against Mayo?
Yeah, I think it was, because there was a sense of nearly inevitability with that Mayo game. Dublin they were on fumes. Like, they were absolutely on fumes. That defeat, and then how the spring went, and just being totally written off across the board. And look, there was question marks there. It was like, have the wheels completely come off this team? And it's easy for Macker and these guys to say, look, we owe no one anything. We've done everything. We've won everything in the game. Let's just ride off into the sunset. But they come back to the well yesterday. And I mean, that takes stones to do that. Like, when you know you're up against that. And that's why yesterday was like, it was emotional. It was good. Jimmy will tell you, he was looking at me, laughing at me. But I just couldn't praise them enough. It was incredible to watch, yeah.
James, last word on that Kerry performance yesterday. I didn't get the sense, looking at you celebrating it, that you weren't feeling like you should be, that you wanted to be down there. Like, it was okay being there in the press box yesterday, was it? Or did you find it tough?
No, I was fine.
I've asked you this a couple of times now this year because I've been expecting you to break, but you haven't.
Trying to do Thomas Niblock on it there and make him cry.
Exactly.
A good chat with Tommy Niblock there on Saturday at the game. Actually, we're having a good laugh about it. He's like,
he didn't try and get you on the pod, no?
He's like Oprah Winfrey. He just brings the guests in and they all start crying. He's unbelievable.
I can't wait till he gets the wolf on.
Yeah, oh, Jesus. 2-hour special.
James, what did you feel looking at that, the way they got over the line yesterday? Because you were such a part of that team up until last summer.
I suppose, no, like, similar to what Paddy's saying, like, I was just absolutely delighted for the boys, because obviously there has been some horrible losses, like the Cork game when McKaigue gets the goal. You got the Tyrone game after extra time. You know, we had a couple of close calls against Dublin. The 2019 draw was a game we left after us, you know. So there have been those moments, but it was a coming of age game for the boys. And like, Gainey has been soldiering on that team for so long. Stephen O'Brien, David Moran, like, these fellas have been around forever and they're still at it and still performing at the top level. And I think that the final is going to suit those boys even more probably in that Dublin game. Really? Like, the pace was incredible in that game. Whereas I think the Galway game will be more of a kind of an experience-based, tactical-based game rather than the helter-skelter Kerry Dublin game. So
it's
I think
Galway's best chance to win it.
Yeah, well, it is going to be like that. It is going to be like that.
Is it Galway 2000? Or is it Galway 2001 when they absolutely blitzed Meath after Meath blitzed Kerry? That is what we're going to come to. So we're going to move on to Derry Galway right now. Paddy, first question. Conor McCluskey's performance. Was it the defensive performance of the weekend?
It was top class because we know the most impressive thing, Walsh goes for him a few times. And we've seen how elusive Shane Walsh is, his power, his speed, he kind of stops and starts. And McCluskey matches him stride for stride, all over the pitch, near hand tackling. Walsh is trying to push him off, his strength, his balance, no fouls on him. It was a brilliant performance. Chrissy McKaigue, just look, another Rob Finnerty, I'll take him. Absolutely wipes him out of the game. Brilliant displays from both of those guys. And look, they've been like that all year. So McCluskey, he's kind of got under the radar. It was kind of Rodgers and McKaigue, but his performance on Shane Walsh on Saturday was phenomenal. Look, the elephant in the room was, and we said it half time, Comer was the man. And Rodgers kicks 2 points in the first 10 minutes. You're thinking, right, he has Comer on the back foot, but you could see already before half time when Comer started going at him and bringing him in close to goal, he was getting the better of him. You're thinking, would you just take the risk of putting McKaigue over on him? And they'd never change it. And look,
massive mistake.
That's a regret. They look back and go, does Comer score those 2 goals in the second half if McKaigue is on him?
You felt that in real time, did you?
Yeah, Colin Gilligan actually said it to me at half time. He had said it. He goes, I'm worried about that one.
Was that because of Comer's point just before half time?
Yeah, Comer gets 2 points in the first half, and he's kind of the only goal. We don't score for 21 minutes. And you're thinking, this is textbook Derry. And he just gets them back in it. But he was the one Galway forward who was winning his battle there. Yeah. And you're just thinking, if they snuff him out, Derry, even though Derry are not doing anything up front, which we knew would be an issue.
Derry went 21 minutes too without scoring in the first half.
Yeah, well, Derry only scored a point
in the first half.
Point from play in the second half. They scored 6 points. And look, we said right from the get-go that we felt that was going to be an issue for them. And to be honest, being in there at the game, there was an incredible atmosphere. But once Comer gets the goal and it goes 1-7-4, that was it.
It was a brilliant goal. It was Conor Callaghan versus Mayo-esque.
Both the goals. Well, I think you can't go. John Daly's kick pass inside. We said it. It's like you need to, when you're playing against a blanket defence and organised defence, either you move really, really fast or the ball moves really, really fast. That's how you break it down. You've got a probe, and John Daly hits that kick pass in. It's a 30-yarder. And it's out of that passing on, even though Derry have 12 guys back inside their 45, they get a one-on-one with Comer, and he does the rest.
Daly did the same thing in the first half to set up a Comer point that punched the blanket.
He was exceptional. Galway were very impressive. Comer's the match winner, though. And for Derry, they'll look back and go, what if?
Well, when they're inside in the meeting and they're going matchups, I think that McKaigue would have nearly been like, I'll take Comer. Comer is I was surprised that he can get 2-2. Comer's the one who can get 2-2. Shane Walsh can get 4 or 5 from outside. Finnerty can get probably 2 or 3. But the only fellow with the realistic goal threat who's going to actually be the game winner is Comer. And I think they just got that.
I would have looked at McCluskey on Finnerty, just with the size and that sort of things. Possibly McKaigue on Comer, but then Rodgers is going to struggle with Shane Walsh. But Shane Walsh is out the pitch, and that suits Rodgers being out the pitch. So look, I didn't have the matchup that way. 2 of them were nailed on.
The two main ones we said all year were Walsh and Comer. The 2 main ones were Walsh and Comer, and then it was kind of whoever you have left.
I was surprised.
That's why Finnerty was playing so well, kind of. But Comer is he's nearly favourite for Player of the Year. He's an outstanding player. He got 2-2 from play.
Who's going to pick him up in the final? Foley or Tom Sullivan?
Foley, yeah. Tom Sullivan will be on Shane Walsh. Foley on Comer.
And Foley on Comer, Foley, I thought was very good yesterday. Again, solid. He's in that system. He had a couple of big moments in the second half.
This is going to be a massive, massive test for Foley.
Comer will ask the questions in that defence that Conor Callaghan would have asked.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's going to stay in. He'll be direct. He'll be an absolute handful, and he's a target.
But Hurley for Cork is kind of similar as well. Foley's marked him a couple of times early on in his career. He had a little bit of trouble with him, but he kind of filled out more. Jason filled out more, and is kind of able to deal with that type of player now. So that'll be a huge battle for Kerry. Huge. If Foley comes out on top there, it's
Comer's a different kettle of fish to Hurley.
He is. But he's similar kind of stocky and power. He's probably better now.
He's a bit more of a bulldog, I think.
Yeah.
Bit more. Comer's a bit closer to Kieran Martin than he is to Brian Hurley.
Kieran Martin, actually, yeah, very similar.
Okay, I want you both on this. Can Derry go to another level in 2023?
Yeah.
Like McGuinness and Gallagher brought Donegal from 11 to 12. That's what I'm asking. Because this did feel like it had shades of, I know the comparison was made, the 4-2 scoreline in the first half of Dublin, Donegal in 11, but it has felt like this is year one of that project. Year two, obviously.
I think a success for Derry next year, win Division 2, get into Division 1 and try and defend the Ulster Championship. I don't think, we said from the get-go, to win the All-Ireland, I don't think they have the scoring power. Nothing changed for me from seeing them on Saturday night.
But Donegal, yeah, I suppose
Donegal had Murphy and McFadden, yeah.
And McBride.
And McCarthy was a kid.
If you're looking like Denny Hare and Niall Loughlin have had amazing seasons, but I don't think they're in that bracket yet. But look, this is Derry to bring through younger guys as well. They've got what a phenomenal base they've gotten there. Yeah. The energy around that county, the crowd was incredible. They've got one of the best coaches in the game, and they've got some outstanding players, and they've got some outstanding lessons over the last 3 months. How to win tight games. They'll improve from that. There's an energy. They will be mad for road. I'm telling you, they're not going away. Okay, they'll be disappointed with the semi-final, but they're going, we can't wait for the McKenna Cup in January. We can't wait we're going to blitz Division 2. We need to get into Division 1. That's how we're going to improve as well. So I think I expect them to improve. Will they be back in an All-Ireland semi-final? I think other teams are going to improve as well. But
it's so open again. Whatever happens, it's class.
But that's the exciting thing. We said from day one of this season when we recorded the first pod that teams needed to stand up and challenge the old guard, challenge the likes of Mayo, challenge the likes of Dublin. Galway and Derry have done that. So will Derry get back? Will be an All-Ireland semi-final next year? I don't know. But I think they'll improve as a team and they'll take some phenomenal lessons out of it. But the firepower issue, I've always said it. I don't think you can win the All-Ireland playing that defensively.
I agree. And whenever we mentioned on the pod, it was put to us that Derry scored 118, 116, 312, 513. But I think those questions were always still there.
It's not the same. No. But you know what Derry do in fairness, and this has been their unbelievable tactic. When they're breaking out from defence, they stop and turn.
Basketball.
Wait for everyone to get into their position.
Basketball.
And then they go. Like, you're never going to score that much doing that. Like, you get a bulk of scores by going as fast as you can and delivering the ball as quickly as you can and getting off the receiver.
But if you're so structured, it's so structured, that's why they've been so successful.
That's why they won the Ulster,
there's no surprises at the defence. The defence know exactly what you're going to do after the first 5 or 6 attacks.
You can see Galway. You could see the Galway sweepers very quickly in the first half, maybe 15-20 minutes in.
First play, McHugh and Kermalloy drop in. You know what they're doing. Like,
yeah,
that's the thing. It will get you to a point, but you're going. Derry were nowhere before this, so they've jumped the gun so much. They've won the Ulster Championship, so they've been in All-Ireland semi-finals. So that's phase one of this. The next phase, there needs to be some element of jeopardy or in their attack or kind of stardust or a bit of unknown, because it's too structured an attack that you're not going to get over the biggest teams.
Yeah,
the biggest risk they take in their play is insane. It's the goalkeeper. It's like it's quite structured. It's so controlled everywhere, and then they have a goalkeeper sprinting out the goal. In my opinion, like nearly getting in the way of attacks. Like that's an insane risk to take. It kind of goes against everything else. And look, it didn't work on Saturday. We were always fearful of it.
Yeah.
And it was teetering on the edge.
But there's been times where it's been, and the word Joe Malloy is used a lot as innovation for the sake of innovation with keepers, right? There's times when they're in the way and there's times when it's worked really well.
I don't agree with it. I definitely don't agree with it when it's actually a goalkeeper goal. Ethan Rafferty's a different proposition because he's actually a forward and he brings pace and he brings penetration to attack. Kick scores. Niall Morgan, to be fair as well, can kick scores. I don't like Beggan going up. I don't think Beggan offers absolutely anything to an attack. I don't want my goalkeeper to run 90 yards up the pitch and hand pass the ball 5 yards sideways. What is the point of that? And so many goalkeepers, it's like it's nearly the norm now. Oh, everyone's doing it. I'll go forward as well. Go forward if you are actually going to add positively to the attack. Do not come up the pitch like Orlan Lynch the other day and my God, he was struggling to solo the ball. It was just hard in your mouth. And then
it was coming, yeah.
Like he was absolutely gassed running back. He was knackered. It was like he was nearly walking back. It was like this is not the right thing to do. If you're an outfield player and you're brilliant, I can see why you might do it, that you're going to add to the attack. But too many goalkeepers are coming with the pitch, getting in the way, and it's just like they're offering absolutely zero to the attack. And Saturday was the absolute poster child for that.
The only thing, in fairness to Oran Lynch, I don't think he wanted to be doing it. Like he was under strict instruction. Like he was being.
I don't know how you could be.
And he was saying, "Get up there," or come late. Like, and he was kind of almost going, "You sure? Do I actually have to do this?" I don't think he was comfortable at all. Like it was just.
He didn't look it. My God, he did not look it even before the goal.
But like I think you're right, James.
A lot of goalkeepers are being hung out to dry in that situation because, as you said, the manager sees someone else do it, so they say our goalkeeper can do that, and then they're not comfortable, and it can upset everyone.
If you're going to do it, put it outfielder and go.
Did you see Gallagher lose the head of McKaigue? McKaigue has been sensational all year, but he did the exact same thing that he did in the quarterfinal. He took a shot from the right, and I've seen him score that before in previous years. He curls it in. Gallagher lost his shit.
Yeah,
he lost it. Line of the weekend. This came from Joe Bradley. Line of the weekend. Porrick Joyce on Hawkeye malfunctioning. It goes to show that machines are only human. Paddy, the lift that it gave Galway at the start of the second half, there's no getting away from it. Like it felt like it was you could hear the roar. I was on the way to a game. You could hear the roar coming through the radio, and it was like, wow, that's going to give them a psychological boost.
It was a score, and that's why it was so odd. It was like at the time, it looked like everyone in the stadium. It looked like a score. The Galway fans on the hill were celebrating, which is again, it's always a telltale sign. The umpire was so definitive in giving it, and no Derry player even is challenging it. Do you know, if even a sniff of goal wide, the goalkeeper's giving it a big one. It was like such an obvious score. And then when it gets called back for hockey, obviously they don't call the ref back unless, and it's given wide.
You can see the line was off though, couldn't you?
You're going like, Jesus, that's surprising now. Everyone was kind of like, oh, okay, it's a bad miss from Shane Walsh. And then just as the halftime whistle goes, obviously the press box, you have RT on the TV as well. RT show a replay of it, and it's like absolute stone wall over the bar. And the whole stadium knew. And, they're lucky in a way, right? Imagine that's in real time. And there's not half time a minute later. And they don't.
It's the end of the game. You mean
or if it's at the end of the game and Derry win. It's like, and Derry win by a point and they're celebrating and they're going like, what the hell is going on?
There would have been war.
Yeah. So but even it would have been like
They kind of get away with it. But I tell you one thing, and it was there, Conor Glass scores a point.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
And Hawkeye shows it, and it's inside the post. And Derry fans cheer, and then it comes up Neil. And you're like, the credibility of the entire Hawkeye system is in question now.
Shot. Yeah. 100%.
No. But was it Conor Glass's one was in the first half as well?
Yeah, it was. It was about 10 minutes.
Why didn't they go back and look at every shot that was Hawkeye wide then?
So true.
Why do they only do Shane Walsh's and not do Conor Glass's?
But the thing, the Conor Glass, the Hawkeye replay comes up and it's inside the post. Yeah. And everyone cheers in the stadium, and then it goes Neil. It's like
it should have been tagged on as well. Tailteann Cup Final, Paddy. The celebrations afterwards were just.
Oh, I'm going down to Westmeath, lads.
The absolute endorsement for it. It was savage. It was class.
3 days they've been on the beards. Phenomenal scenes.
The contrast in the, I suppose. Now I didn't think. I thought Derry Galway was intriguing. Even watching my second half, I found it watchable. I didn't think it was that bad.
It was a very interesting game. Like I said, one for the purists.
It was very, very enjoyable. Westmeath Cavan game was a cracking game of football. Like the skill on show. James, as David Clifford played the ball across to Stephen O'Brien, had you, from knowing O'Brien for years, did you think Stephen O'Brien was going to pull on it first time when he picked the ball clean off the ground? The way that Lorcan Dolan did for Westmeath and stuck it in the top corner? Does Stephen O'Brien have that in his arsenal to do that?
He does. Actually, I remember we were training one time, and do you know the way you'd go in, you'd be through on goal, and you were very good at the Paddy. You'd always look for the fella coming in late for the hand pass across the goal and tap in. So Steve was coming in one day down the line in training, and he hand passed the ball down to my feet, and I go to volley it because it was so low. Obviously, skied it. And he lost the plot going, the volley is never on. The volley is never on. So I think that if that came across to Steve-O, he would have had to pick it up, because if he ever swung a leg at it, he'd never live it down.
Okay.
Some fellas just, they like tried and trusted, pick it up, fist it over the bar, get the shot out.
Down the middle, as they call it.
I'd say if it does come across you like that, you have to have a go.
It was some finish from Dolan. Dolan's finish. Sensational.
Yeah, it was. It was classic first. But that,
roofed it.
The quality of that game was very high. It was like
they are two good teams.
The intermediate, a second tier, like unbelievable to get that day out in Croke Park. And the Kilkenny game was excellent as well. The second half of that game
goal was like watching Real Madrid. Like
it was like
a step over in it. I was like, oh my god, this is phenomenal. It was like three soccer. Like, but no, for Cavan, I tipped them. They'll be disappointed. They get a lucky goal, Pádraig Faulkner's goal, and it gets their noses in front. It was a cagey enough game.
Yeah.
Mm.
And once they're 2 points up with 10 minutes to go, and the Thomas Gallagher incident, it's a red card. I'm sorry, it's not intentional. He goes into bury him, but once I think it was Ronan O'Toole turns, it's dangerous. It looked really bad actually. Because it was right again. It was right in front of us. I think
worse in real time. Yeah.
Ronan O'Toole was actually all right. He gets up and there's no injury. But I thought,
like Paddy,
thought it was a red to be on this day and age. You have to be careful, and that could have been a lot messier.
Can I ask you about that for a second? Because I know it's slightly different, but Morgan catches you in the jaw, you break your jaw. Like we've spoken about it for the impact that would have had in you for weeks. We saw it with Greg McCabe, missed time on his shoulder in the quarterfinal, and was we forgot about it because of the melee and the incident that happened afterwards. But he nails the man in the head. Adrian Spillane yesterday, I thought it was harsh in real time, but he catches Gannon the wrong way and he's rightfully booked. Lads are so physically...
no, Adrian Spillane's one was nothing in it.
Really?
We both thought at the time it was like it looked bad in real time, and we're going, he could get the line here.
Yeah.
It's actually, when you see the replay of it,
okay,
we thought he'd put actually his elbow up and caught him, but he hadn't. Adrian Spillane's was all right. It's just you're running the risk when you go in to bury a fella like that. And look, we like the physicality of Gaelic football. I get all that, but like sport is kind of moving on. We've seen it in rugby as well. You can do serious damage. We have a big incident obviously with John Small and Owen McLaughlin last year's All-Ireland semi-final. Guys can get these guys are big bloody players. And if you're coming in full tilt and the player doesn't see you coming, it's great. If you catch him on the shoulder, it's okay. It's just a big hit. But literally milliseconds, he turns and you catch. That's because Morgan's one with me. It actually doesn't even look that bad. But I just turn my head and your jaw's gone. Good luck. So for that, referees kind of looked at. There's a bit of responsibility there. I think you have to. It might seem harsh because, like I said, Galligan, it's not intentional. He's going into bury him, but in a kind of fair way, shoulder to shoulder, and O'Toole just turns. It's a red card. Cavan from 2 points up. They just struggle for the last 10 minutes. They're probably still going to get away with it. I think they'll be more annoyed. Kieran Martin's goal is brilliant, but Cavan defensively are looking at that going. They had 6 lads there. You go, and Kieran Martin is not.
Kieran Martin is not the Kieran Martin who's doing that in 2016.
Yeah, it's not from 7 or 8 years ago. He's not Jack McCaffrey. Like he should not be getting through in that instance. It's a brilliant goal. But Cavan will be looking. They've about 5 goals to take him out, and they don't. And that's ultimately the score. It's a brilliant score to win it. And you know what? The scenes after, you could see Cavan were devastated. Westmeath were like, you even seen on the pitch, they meant so much to them. And subsequently, you've seen the last couple of days, the celebrations. It's savage. It's class. Tailteann Cup has been a massive success. There's still things to improve on it. Get rid of that bloody northern-southern section. Let teams play each other.
Yep.
But as a first go at this, it's been a success. The players clearly love it. Supporters love it. Massive Cavan crowd, massive Westmeath crowd. It's here to stay, and the players have been crying out for it, and it's been, to be fair, a success in year one.
Yeah, 100%. Last, like Ronan O'Toole's performance yesterday, he was man of the match, 5 points, exceptional. Sam McCarthy kicked the point off his left, off his right, off the deck. The quality on show was brilliant. Even defensively, I thought Westmeath were just exceptional across the board. So well done to them. Enjoy the team holiday, and I think the progression. They get a team holiday. I think it's like worth 60. Something like worth 60K. I'm not fully sure about that.
Really?
Something like that. Yeah, it's
unbelievable.
Yeah, it's class. And I think
they'll be skipping into the National League next year.
Same thing. They'll be looking at Division 3. Let's romp home in this. Get up to divisions and have a go at the Leinster Championship as well.
We're nearly finished here, boys.
Croke Park is unbelievable.
We're nearly finished here, boys. Just to mention, quickly, James, did you back Cavan or Westmeath last week?
Westmeath.
All right, okay. So me and you were both
lying. He's lying to your
two
face.
for three. Paddy was 1 for 3. I was 3 for 3. Just to put it out there.
Disaster.
Fantasy football. I'm actually top of the leaderboard. I'm a point ahead of James. Paddy, you're not far off, but you're third position.
Conor McCluskey got me any points?
Third from 3.
We are like, but we're still, even though I'm top, we're still like.
have Rian O'Neill as captain, do we? Like?
I think so. Yeah, we're still like 60th. I'm like 60th in the actual league. Niall Hassan is leading the way, 1,255 points. Kieran Kenrick is behind them. Ollie Donnelly in third. A couple of quick fire questions, right? Nicholas Stone in Boston. Paddy, if you could have brought, this can be quick. Paddy, if you could have brought one recently retired double player back for yesterday's game in their prime, who would it have been?
Mannion, no, it'd be useless. Mannion played, Dublin would have won.
And can I ask you?
Yeah, definitely full forward line player, I would say.
Do you not agree?
I absolutely agree. But if the ball was in Paul Mannion's hand in injury time on the left-hand side of the pitch, was he the only Dublin footballer who could have kicked that shot that Niall Scully took?
Scully had time to get back on the right.
Did you think?
It was someone falls. Who was it? They kind of goes to tackle him and he kind of slips and he has more time and he realises. For yesterday, Mannion.
I've seen Mannion score that point.
Nailed on. He'd tap it over it.
Okay.
It was a poor decision by Scully, I think, because it was like on his bad leg at that stage in the game. Even if they recycled it for another chance, they probably would have got a different shot off. You know,
Keith Ford. I said it a few weeks ago. If Dublin won, I'd wear a Kerry jersey on my stag. Hard luck, Keith. Send us a photo. Cormac said, "Do Kerry now have an issue with penalty takers, James? Clifford, Gainey, and Sean O'Shea have all missed in big games recently."
I wouldn't say an issue, but I think they probably need to spend some time on it. Probably need someone to practice them every night. Probably hasn't been happening. But those fellas, the 3 fellas you named, could be unbelievable penalty takers if they spend probably more time on it. So it's definitely not an issue. The ball strikers in Kerry are fine. It's just a matter of building up a bit of confidence by practicing.
Keen Hoy wants to know, Paddy, is it important that Desi stays on to further develop this new blend of youth and experience?
Desi will be staying on, yeah, 100%.
And final question, Andy McEntee has just been confirmed as Antrim manager tonight. Are you surprised that he's got back in so quickly?
Jesus.
After doing a Sean Dyche. Oh, no. Who was it? Yeah.
Out one day in the next.
It's
your man from Norwich, Dean Smith, went straight from Norwich to
Villa
to Norwich. Or Norwich to Villa to Norwich, yeah. It's a good gig. Like in the beginning, he did a lot of good stuff with Antrim. There's a base there.
Huge population.
And he obviously feels he obviously has the bug to get back into it. So up the road to Belfast.
There you go.
All the best.
Good appointment. It's a good appointment for Antrim, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
They must have gone after him and sold him a project kind of thing. Do you know, like this is where we're going. So that's a good sign that they were able to get someone of that caliber.
They must have had to go on and convince him, because McEntee said the week afterwards on OTBAM that he had no interest managing another county. So they must have gone.
What's changed?
Good proposition.
I saw him driving a Porsche.
I'll put that to him.
He accepted the job from Dubai.
Lads, I'm really looking forward to Thursday night in Kilmacud. We'll have a couple of hundred loyal football pod listeners there on the night. It's going to be top class. Michael Meehan's going to be there. Can't wait for it. I'm going to go off here and watch the Game in the Rain from 2008. James, you were actually there that day, weren't you?
I was indeed.
We'll talk about it on Thursday night, but it was unbelievable, wasn't it?
It was.
You didn't have a minor game that day, did you?
We did. We played Offaly in a minor game. Barry John Walsh got 4-4, and then we got the bus up to Croke Park. It was an absolute washout. Unreal. But a savage day. Unbelievable football. Some unbelievable football to be played in that rain.
Unreal. Yeah. No, unbelievable. Go back and watch the full games on YouTube. So we'll be going through a bit of that on Thursday night. Yeah, Michael.
Yeah. Kilmacud Crokes on Thursday night. Michael Meehan, legend. Looking forward to chatting to him.
Yeah. So we're going to have a chat. Michael's going to come up for a chat, and then we're going to get stuck into a proper All-Ireland final preview. It will be available in the Football Pod feed a little later in the week. If you're not there in the night, hard luck, but I am giving away 2 final pairs of tickets tonight. Keep an eye on the Football Pod Twitter and Instagram pages. We'll let you know then. Paddy Andrews, pleasure. James O'Donoghue, thank you very much. And thanks to everyone for listening in. Fair play, lads. Another one in the books.
Up to Dubs.
Talk soon.